So Resident Evil, that's the big rumor right now. Resident Evil DLC. Could have said it's impossible a year or two ago, but at this point I think it's completely possible. With the Leaks by Daylight post showing that there's a dev talking about how there's stars that might show up at the next anniversary event, I think it's almost undeniable at this point that the Resident Evil DLC is going to happen. And it's going to happen for Dead by Daylight's next anniversary. Assuming they aren't just trolling. They do troll sometimes, but again, these sort of trolls are basically minor leaks when it comes to DBD, so it's a good time to be excited if you're a Resident Evil fan. I made a little mock-up on the screen you could see here, down here I guess. Well, for me it's probably down here. But I made a little mock-up, and that has sort of the characters that I think you should assume are going to be in a Resident Evil DLC if it does happen. And I'm going to explain why in a minute. But before I do, let's just talk about the maps quickly, because the maps are probably going to be the most boring part of this conversation. I think when it comes to Resident Evil, there's only maybe... Well, there's actually like 4 or 5 places they could use, but there's 2 big places that they'd have to use. So, the Spencer Estate is sort of the obvious one, and the real reason I threw the Spencer Estate in this mock-up is because the other stuff is all Resident Evil 1 stuff. And I think if they wanted to be consistent, they would pick Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 1. They could also do what they did with Silent Hill DLC, where they pick the killer from one game, the survivor from another, and the map from another. Completely possible. But if they were going to pick all the stuff from one game, and it was probably stuff that is the most consistent in terms of tone, they'd probably pick Resident Evil 1. Because Resident Evil 1 had Jill and Chris, 2 extremely well-known characters for horror games. Anyone that knows Resident Evil, even just like has heard the name of it, knows probably recognize a picture of Jill or Chris. For the killer, I picked Tyrant. I'm going to explain that in a second. Before I do, let's talk about the survivors. Oh, the 2 maps actually, sorry. So the 2 maps. The 2 maps are Spencer Estate, which is what I've put here, and then there's also the RPD, the Raccoon Police Department. If you've played the Resident Evil 2 or 3 remakes recently, and that's your introduction to Resident Evil, that's great, because you've played on one of the most important parts of the Resident Evil mythos, which is the Raccoon Police Department. Raccoon City Police Department. You could argue that they might use Raccoon City itself as a stage for Dead by Daylight, but I cannot see the devs making a little city square for this game. I could see them using other spots. If they wanted to grab from Resident Evil 4, I would hope that they pick the map and nothing else. Maybe the killer, actually. The killer would be kind of cool too, but if they're taking from Resident Evil 4 or any of the Plaga games, they could use the village. They could also use a section of Africa, I guess, as a map. But I think, realistically, we're looking at the Spencer Estate or the Raccoon Police Department. Which is sick, because the Raccoon City Police Department is winding, it's got its hallways, it's consistent, there's a big lobby everyone would recognize, and I could easily see some loops around that big lobby. Same thing with the Spencer Estate. It's winding, tight corridors, there's 2 levels, there's big lobbies, there's big recognizable areas. You could have some areas that only open when certain gens are done, just like they did with the Silent Hill and they did with Saw. So I mean, that would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty neat. But I really think if they're going to go with mixing the games together, it'll probably be the police station for the map. If they do what I'm thinking they're going to do, which is picking them all from one game, I think they're going to pick the Spencer Estate, and they're going to pick the killer and the survivors I've talked about here. So talking about the survivors, who will they pick? Well, I put Chris and Jill in my mock-up, and really you could take any male, any female, but there is one thing that I really hope they don't do. They should not pick one or the other. They should really have both. They should have a male, they should have a female from the series, because there's really strong characters from both genders. There's Jill, Claire, Ada, Rebecca. I feel like I'm missing someone. If you want to include Resident Evil 4, there's Ashley. She's cool, I guess. Don't know if I'd call her strong, but she's cool. And then from the male perspective, you got Chris, you got Wesker, you got Barry, who I don't know if I call him a strong character, but he's pretty cool. And who else is there for males? I mean, you could really pick anyone from the Stars team. You could pick... Did I say Leon? Leon's really important. If they were going to mix and match games, they'd probably do Jill and Leon, or Claire and Chris. I think those are the 2 pairs they would do if they were mixing games together. But if they're not mixing games together, they're picking all from Resident Evil 1, Jill and Chris, or Jill and Wesker. And the reason I say Jill and Wesker, if not Jill and Chris, is because Wesker would have some pretty neat perks. He'd have some cool abilities. He's got superhuman strength, man. I mean, you could do some cool things with that as a perk. Jill, you've got possible lockpicking perk, something like that. Maybe with a perk of hers, you could break down those breakable walls. You know what I mean? Is that a wasted perk? How do they balance that? I don't know. But it's an idea. But yeah, that's what I see happening for the survivors. It doesn't really matter who they pick. I think they're going to have like 100 legacy skins, to be honest. I think this is like a cash cow waiting to happen. This is you buying the Resident Evil DLC. You got your Chris and Jill. You're all excited. And then they release Wesker in a few weeks. You're like, oh shit, gotta have Wesker. They release Claire. And you're like, well, I mean, I've got Jill, but I like Claire a lot. You go ahead and buy Claire. And they're still releasing shit. They could release shit for months with the Resident Evil name. With Silent Hill, they could do it too, and they do. They've released the cop, they released the nurse. But from Resident Evil, man, they could make so much fucking money off of this franchise. So that's why I really think it's not just a rumor at this point. I think it's happening. It's a cash cow for them. For the killer, I picked Tyrant, and that's probably going to be the most controversial to anyone who looks at my little mock-up. I picked Tyrant because, again, he fits in with the consistent theme of Resident Evil 1. Not only that, but I think it doesn't actually matter who they pick as the killer. I think if they pick Nemesis, you could argue marketing-wise it makes the most sense. Nemesis is easily the most recognizable baddie from Resident Evil. But the thing is, as soon as people hear there's Resident Evil DLC, they're going to flock over here anyway. When they see it's Tyrant, maybe they'll care, maybe they won't. But I know that if Nemesis is a DLC for the DLC, say if Nemesis has a legacy skin for Tyrant, BHVR just made more money, as did Capcom. And these two companies like to make money. They're companies first. They don't just care about fans, they like money too. So I mean, I could very easily see them having Tyrant as the killer, Nemesis as a legacy skin, Mr. X as a legacy skin, and maybe if we're lucky, Chief Mendez as a legacy skin. I think Chief Mendez would be fucking wild. If I saw Chief Mendez from Resident Evil 4 as a legacy skin, I would trip out. That'd be wild. That sucks for her. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on Resident Evil stuff. I think the Resident Evil stuff is happening. I think with the Leaks by Daylight posts about it, they've been around before, don't get me wrong. With the Leak by Daylight's posts about it, with the fact that you got Silent Hill fans playing Dead by Daylight and loving it right now, BHVR has seen that if they invest in outside franchises in the gaming world, they're going to make a fan base. They're going to have fans of both games becoming a new group of people. I see people in the Silent Hill subreddit all the time talking about Dead by Daylight, and I see people in the Dead by Daylight subreddit drawing fan pictures of Pyramid Head and Cheryl and even James and shit now, right? And because the fans have stuck with Dead by Daylight, they've rewarded the Silent Hill fans. They've given them Sybil, they've given them Lisa, and they've given extra skins for Cheryl, or Heather. I call her Heather, I don't give a fuck, but yeah. Now, for Resident Evil, you could do the same. Even if you don't include legendary skins, you've got Jill, who would have like 3 outfits on her own. She's got her Resident Evil 3 outfit, which is probably her most well-known, the black skirt, blue top. They've got her new remake outfit, which is a little bit, I guess, less sexual, you could say. I don't know. Yeah, the new Jill outfit is a bit more tame. And then there's the Resident Evil 1 outfit. The Resident Evil 1 outfit is pretty nice with a little French beret. There's a Resident Evil 1 remake outfit, which... Oh, fuck. Resident Evil 1 remake outfit, which also has the beret, but it's a little bit more realistic looking. Again, if you had legacy skins, you could have Claire with her biker jacket and shit, or... You could have Claire with the biker jacket and shit, you could have Ada, you could have, Chris would have like 4 outfits himself as well. He's got his Resident Evil 1 Stars outfit, he's got his Resident Evil Remake Stars outfit, which looks a lot cooler. They've got his BSAA outfit from Resident Evil 5. So lots of different roads they can go down. with the Resident Evil DLC. So take a look at my mock-up. Let me know what you think. Comment below if you think I'm wrong about this stuff. Not about the DLC existing. I think the DLC existing it's something we're all hoping for. It's not something we know for sure is going to happen, but I think it's almost undeniable with some of the comments you're seeing these devs make at this point. And again, if you've already got Silent Hill fans, why not bring the Resident Evil fans in too? A lot of them are intertwined. Silent Hill fans will buy Resident Evil stuff. They like Silent Hill, and a lot of them like Resident Evil too. So why not just totally cash in? Make all the money they can, make us happy, give us some, I guess I should heal her. Give us some shit we want. Stop giving us shit like, who the fuck wanted Blight? Like, for real. Blight was stupid. Not everything has to be a franchise killer, but don't ever make Blight again. The twins are cool. Blight sucks. They should just get rid of Blight. They should remove him from the game. Give everyone their money back. Killer sucks. People who can play as him, congrats. But it's fucking stupid killer. I guess since this game's still going, let's just ask ourselves, how would Tyrant play? The killer. And I think Tyrant, there's a ton of weird things they could do. I mean, they could introduce a killer that can just walk through pallets. Like, not even smash him with his foot or anything. He just fucking marches through them. And maybe he walks a little bit slower or something. Maybe he's got some disadvantage. But for the Tyrant's supposed to be a powerhouse. It's supposed to be an unstoppable beast. It's supposed to be something you throw a pellet at and it bounces off his head, right? And we already have a perk for that. But again, his power could literally be walking through a pallet that's already thrown down and just smashing through it full speed. Like the way killers break walls right now, but a little bit faster. Maybe have it so it's faster at smashing walls too. Another pretty fucking crazy idea I had for a Tyrant killer was a killer that would require a gun to stun. Like, you couldn't stun him with pallets or anything, you couldn't stun with flashlight, nothing like that. But maybe there's like lockers all over the map, and there's like 4 or 5. Maybe a survivor can go in that locker, pick up a gun with 1 shot, shoot at the Tyrant, and it's stunned. And that's the only way to free someone from being grabbed, and maybe that's the only way for stunning killers. I mean, I don't know. It's just an idea, right? But if they introduced guns with very limited ammo just for this one killer, I'm not saying it would fit in, but it would suit that killer. It would suit the whole Resident Evil theme, because Resident Evil ultimately is about the weapons, along with the BOWs. And if they could bring the weapons to Dead by Daylight, that'd be pretty weird. That'd be pretty cool. Okay. And then again, for the survivors, I don't know. Perks are kind of weird. If it's Wesker, you can be creative. He's got superhuman strength. He's like a genius. He's technically a Tyrant himself, right? So Wesker would be kind of a cool survivor, but Jill and Chris for the survivors. Spencer Estate for the map. Tyrant for the killer. That's my prediction. What do you guys think? You don't agree? You agree? You think my ideas are stupid? You think they're good ideas? Comment below. Thanks for watching.